And welcome back to the Drunken Nerd Podcast, where we love our beer like we love our movies, TV shows, comics. My name is Carl, and with me as always, the shipmaster himself.
I was going to say, are you going to put the R on or keep it off this time?
No, you need a new nickname each week.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works.
Fair enough.
I'm going to run out in like 3 days, but...
3 episodes?
Yeah.
Because we don't record that often.
No. So we've got, I don't even remember what I called you last week. So, Shipmaster this week. How you doing?
Not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sorry for people who might have been looking for this podcast last week. Schedules conflict as they are.
Work is picking back up as the world is slowly less on fire, and we had to...
Oh no, we're still on fire.
Well,
they're just making us go to work.
It's a little bit less on fire, though. We're not 99% on fire anymore. We're at 97%, so now we have to go back to work.
97, yep. That 3% makes a difference.
It does. If you ask the government, at least, it makes a huge difference.
It's true.
At least the world isn't literally on fire anymore. Like, earlier this year, Australia was on fire. So, like, the world was literally on fire. That's true. The continent of Australia was burning to the ground.
How did that stop? Just randomly, like, it was in the news all the time, and then it was just, there was no more fire.
Fire's done.
Yep.
Probably something to do with the emos.
The emos?
The emus.
Oh, those emos.
No, the emus.
I was like, this is the wrong podcast, Carl.
Oh, this is totally off anything about the podcast, but have you ever heard of the Great Emu War?
No.
It's a true story where the Australian government waged war on, like, an overpopulated emu colony, and the Australian government lost. Like, the emus
rose up and
defeated the Australian army.
That's funny.
Like, it's still an overpopulated colony. And that was in the 60s, I want to say? The Great Emu War? Wikipedia, the Great Emu War. It's a real thing. It sounds like something I would make up, but it's actually...
It actually does sound like something you would make up.
I gotta close Marvel Puzzle Quest. I was playing right before we played. Okay, anyway. This week, our featured beer is by Hysteria Brewing Company in Columbia, Maryland. It is the 1996 West Coast IPA. Full disclosure, I bought this beer because it reminded me of Rocco's Modern Life.
It does. You showed me the beer can, and that's the first thing that came to my mind.
And
I actually looked up the brewery, and I was like, do they have like cartoon themed or whatever? Night. And we say the beer's called 1996. Maybe they had 90s themes. Nope. I don't know why this one's...
They pulled this out. They must have been a big Rocco's Modern Life fan. I'm a big Rocco's Modern Life fan, so I chose this.
Did you ever catch the hour-long special on Netflix?
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good. It picked up right where the show ended.
But it was also, like, there was so much fan service to it. Like, I felt like every minute there was at least one reference to a previous episode.
Well, yeah, because the only people watching that show are people who watched it when they were kids.
Yeah.
Or whatever, when it was on.
I love that they brought the recycle beast back. The thing was RECYCLE recycle.
Oh yeah.
That was one of my favorite episodes of Rocco's Modern Life.
I don't remember, but
I remember it.
I'm old.
Anyway, so full disclosure. Full shout out to the artwork by Edmund ! Who apparently designed this can because he did a great job.
Yeah, if you want to catch him on edmunddesign.com. I'm
sure he's on the Twitter as well. Maybe.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's straight out of Rocco's Modern Life. It's nice and nice throwback concept.
So now, Hysteria, they're down in Columbia, Maryland. I've been to this brewery several times. They allow dogs inside.
Oh, that's a rare.
Yeah, so like Katie and I brought Layla in, and then I remember one time Katie had one of her friends at the vet office had a party there, and it was filled with dogs. It was a remarkable evening, filled with dogs and beer. And then they have a food truck that sits outside.
I was going to say they can't have food made there, but most breweries can't.
You go outside, you get your food out of the food truck, you bring it back inside, you play with the dogs, you drink your beer. And this place makes some really good beers.
Yeah. In Virginia, there was a few breweries, too, that were like that, so you could bring your dog in. Mostly because they were like a warehouse kind of thing. Jersey... It's harder to find a place that lets you bring a dog in.
Yeah,
because a lot of the places, I'm sure it has more to do with Jersey laws, but
Yeah, stupid laws.
stupid Jersey.
Yeah, stupid Jersey, stupid laws.
But they're smaller. They tend to be in more storefronts than they are in warehouses. Even the ones I know in warehouses are very restrictive. And again, I think that has more to Jersey's laws.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, in Jersey, a craft brewery has to do a, air quotes, tour. And most of them just hand you a piece of paper with their brewing process written down and call that the tour.
Or they open the door and they're like, that's where we do it.
Yeah.
And they close the door.
Some are dumb enough to be like, oh, you gotta go through that door and then come back and order from them. Like, to me, that's, you're not playing the game right.
Yeah. But Hysteria, it's more of a warehouse setting, like you were saying, where you walk in and the bar's there and you could actually see everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's just one giant room kind of thing.
Right.
Which, I don't know, every beer that I had there was really good. I can't remember the other ones that I had because this is probably a year and a half ago was the last time I was actually in person in the brewery.
And we're saying this is from the brewery you got
This is from
a year and a half ago?
No. I got this at the supermarket down near Katie's mom's house.
In Maryland.
In Maryland, yeah. So, I mean, this may not even be like the optimal level that this beer is supposed to taste. Because,
the freshestness?
Yeah, like who knows how long it was sitting on a supermarket shelf.
Right.
Like, if we got this from Hysteria, I bet it would be, I mean, this is a great beer. However, I bet it would be a little better yet if we were able to get it from Hysteria, actually.
I bet you.
I know, like, it's the golf course rating scale on this podcast.
Rating scale.
All right, so we're looking at 6.5%, and this is a heavier IPA.
Yeah, the West Coast tend to be heavier, more piney, more earth tones rather than like the New England or whatever we called them last week, our last podcast. Not New England, what are they? The Northeastern IPAs?
Yeah, the New England IPAs that
no
are now
longer
called Northeastern IPAs. We're going to say this is a 5-hole beer. You can drink this for about 5 holes.
I think so.
Maybe 6.
The thing about this one is, for me, not that I play golf often, very rarely ever, but I can't slam it.
No.
And by the time I get to the end of it, it's probably going to be warm from being outside and stuff. So it's going to be even harder to drink. So I would say, 5 hole would be
5 hole
right.
beer. And this is not like a 5 out of 18. This means if I went golfing with the 6-pack of this beer, how long could I drink this beer for before I was like, okay,
time for something else?
Something else.
Yeah. And it's not an indication of how good or bad the beer personally is. It's a good beer. It's pretty standard West Coast IPA flavoring. A little darker than others, but I agree with you. The scale is more based on how long until I'm done drinking
and
playing golf,
and or how long until this affects my game to the point where like I don't even care about golfing
that
anymore.
could still be a 5 hole with this.
Oh,
6.5%.
If the sun is beating down on me with a 6.5% heavy beer, come 5 holes, I'm just going to be dogging it at that point.
Everything's going to be going left and right.
Oh, yeah. Well, it struggle with that when I'm 0 beers deep anyway, so it's...
Yeah, me too. Hashtag me too.
Tisk.
Yeah.
Do you hear what's going on in the WWE world with all that stuff?
No.
The British wrestling scene is getting destroyed with allegations of that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just women are coming forward.
Oh, I mean, look at the U.S. scene since the 80s or 90s, whenever women were introduced into the world wrestling. Vince McMahon insisted all the women wear...
Vince McMahon's the worst person.
Oh, yeah, of course. He continues to be. But he insisted all the women wear, like, thongs and whatnot to wrestle.
Someone else is worse now. Anyway, but yeah, like, you're talking, like, Sable and Trish Stratus back in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, where they wore nothing. And
that was required of them.
Yeah.
And that was all the point of them being on stage was so guys had something to look at. Basically.
Yeah. But nowadays, like, the wrestling scene is, like, women are, like...
legit wrestlers.
They're very serious. Yeah. Like, a lot of women wrestlers are better than a lot of male counterparts nowadays. Like,
not that I'm a big wrestling person, but I would agree with that.
Specifically, like, there's Sasha Banks and Bayley in the WWE. Like, they have a match from X amount of years ago from a pay-per-view in Brooklyn, and it's one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. Like, women, male, it doesn't matter. But, like, back in the day, women weren't allowed to tell stories in matches like that. and now they are. But it's just a shame that, like, right now it's the British wrestling scene that's under fire. But, like, I mean, you got to get the bad. It's with anything, you got to get the bad apples out of there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What a conversation about everything that we actually talk about on this podcast, from beer to wrestling for some reason.
But we are a nerd podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling falls within nerddom, in my opinion. I'm not a big wrestling fan. You are.
Oh yeah.
I know we've had conversations about wrestling before.
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly within the purview of our podcast to talk about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
And hopefully people listen to it.
We're just gonna dabble in wrestling too. It's not like we're devoting an hour.
This episode is not about wrestling.
No, it kind of came up organically for me somehow. I don't remember how.
I made a bad comment, bad joke, and we continue forward with wrestling.
All right. True. So, moving on from wrestling and our little beer discussion of the week, do you want to explain to the folks what our topic of the week is?
Topic of the week is the absolute gem, slightly more polished than the gem of the last podcast,
Definitely
but
more
still in
polished
the
than
same concept, or in the same realm. Movie that is Mortal Kombat.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mortal Kombat is a movie based on a video game.
It is. You are correct about that one, sir.
I'm good on this.
Which is interesting because generally you get video games based on movies.
But this, when did this come out? 95? This movie came out?
The movie came out in 95, New Line Cinemas, yeah.
So when did the original Mortal Kombat come out?
92.
92.
It was in arcades in 92.
Okay.
Which, interesting enough, in full circle, is made by Midway Games.
Yo.
And if you guys don't get that reference, go back and listen to episode 2 real quick.
Episode 1. Episode 1.
Yes.
I talked about Midway Games.
Yes. Half the podcast was about Midway Games.
Yeah, well, the company that eventually founded Midway Games, at least.
Yeah. But, we kind of talked about this earlier, you and I did, but when the video game originally came out in 92, the creators were looking to make a Jean-Claude Van Damme video game. Mm-hmm. And if people are not familiar with Jean-Claude Van Damme, he was a martial artist turned actor. World famous kickboxer. Yeah.
And then he came out with movies, one being called
Bloodsport.
Oh, I was going to say Kickboxer.
No, Kickboxer was someone else.
Oh, it was?
Kickboxer was
never mind.
The kid from the stoner kid from Step by Step.
You lost me.
90s TV show with Patrick Duffy.
So Patrick Duffy was the kickboxer.
No. The nephew who was like the stoner who did the van in the driveway was the kickboxer, and apparently he's a really good kickboxer.
Good on him.
But Bloodsport was the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
The famous one where he gets the sand thrown in his eyes and all that kind of
Sure, it's been forever.
Spoiler alert for the last fight of the movie. He gets sand thrown in his eyes.
Some movie that predates, well, not us, but
possibly.
I don't know, what year were you born?
I almost said 91. 89.
Actually, it does predate you. It came out in 88.
Yep. All right,
okay.
There we go.
I mean, I was 5, so I definitely didn't watch it when it came out.
Yeah.
My parents didn't allow that.
Bloodsport.
But so yeah, they wanted to make a Jean-Claude Van Damme video game, and couldn't for probably more than obvious reasons, being that Jean-Claude probably wouldn't sign his name to it.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they basically just made this instead, Mortal Kombat, which is essentially the same thing.
Hear me out. This should have been a video game about Jean-Claude Van Damme driving in a van around the country and getting in fights in each city, and those are each level. And they should have named it Jean-Claude's Damn Van.
Name, yes. Premise, no.
That premise is amazing. It's essentially Mortal Kombat, but you're just...
But no.
Like, the loading screen is the van traveling from city to
except
city.
that was the loading in the concept for Street Fighter, which came out, whatever I said, two episodes ago, because I don't remember now. But, we've had that conversation in episode 1 where Street Fighter came out pre-Mortal Kombat, so if they did that, it would be Street Fighter, because that's essentially what you did in Street Fighter, is you flew around.
But it would have been Jean-Claude Van Damme certified, because he would have signed on to that project. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I know him.
Probably.
He and I got tea last week.
You're good friends.
Yeah. We're
good friend Jean-Claude Van Damme.
We're friendsly. What? It's an American Dad reference. It's Roger the Alien says, "I'm friends with somebody." I'm friendly with somebody. Okay, I'm friendly with this person. And then a little disclaimer popped up at the bottom, and it says friendly means having never met this person.
Fair enough. Oh, that's fun.
Okay, so first thing you need to talk about the Mortal Kombat movie, that opening soundtrack, banger, like certified banger. They made this out of nothing, and it just became the greatest theme song in movie or video game history.
Was that
not now, but it was.
That soundtrack, was that was in the game though, wasn't it? Or
it wasn't in the game. We could talk about the game because the game had its own little soundtrack of just like typical background music. It didn't.
Yeah.
This song was introduced for a later game, I believe. But the original game, I
mean, you got all the the famous like finish him and all that stuff.
Yeah, this movie shoehorns in the famous
Oh yeah, they want to
lines.
make sure you remember that this is a video game movie, and it's based on the video game, but very, very loosely.
Yeah. But what's the video? The video game, it doesn't have a plot.
It does. It actually does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it's essentially the same plot. So the plot of the movie and the plot of the game are pretty much the same. So Earth is part of a bunch of realms. Mm-hmm. Did I write down how many? I don't remember.
9.
Is it 9 realms?
Or is that from Thor?
That might be Thor.
Norse mythology, maybe 9 realms. Okay, so there are X amount
18
of
realms. I did write it down. 18.
Oh,
Earth being 1. And the location of the game, one of the other realms is Outer Realms.
Outworld.
Outworld,
yeah.
Yes. Which is essentially what's going on in the game, or in the movie too. So in order for one of the other realms to conquer a different realm, so Outworld to conquer Earth, they have to go against that realm's best fighters.
Okay.
And to figure out that, they do a tournament.
Okay.
A fighting tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm tracking this.
That's essentially the concept of both the game and the movie, is that it's a tournament for Outer World to conquer Earth and hail themselves the champions.
Now, this next sentence I'm going to say several times during this podcast. What are the rules of this tournament?
The rules are many, and thusly, no one knows.
Okay.
They change apparently from scene to scene.
Are they many or few?
There are many.
There are many?
There are many. In the movie, you'll see Lord Raiden go, "That's against the rules," but doesn't say why or what the rule really was.
Yeah, yep. And then they just do it anyways?
Yeah.
All right, so what are the rules of this tournament? Is one of the rules you're allowed to break so many of the rules each tournament?
Possibly.
Now,
possibility.
In the movie, they discuss you need to win 10 consecutive tournaments in order to overtake
That's right,
that realm.
and then we're up to 9.
Is that
This is
in
the
the
10th.
video game as well, or is it just like a one and done?
I think it's just
Are
one
we talking like an
done.
NFL or NBA best of 7 series, or an NFL? You lose and go home, although now your home is part of someone
Well,
else's
in the game,
realm.
it's definitely like you either win the tournament or you don't.
Right, so it's a
Like,
one and done.
It's a one and done. I mean, you battle and you go up a bracket until you get to...
Shang Tsung.
Well, yeah, you go Goro and then Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
And it's always Goro, then Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
But in between, those fighters can actually change based on the number of characters there are.
Right, yeah.
And that's been the basis for the game since...
It's a tale as old as time.
Well, at least as old since 92.
It's a song as old as rhyme. And if you choose Sonya and you fight Goro, it's truly Beauty and the Beast.
Ah, groan.
You didn't know I was quoting that song, man?
No, I knew what you were quoting, but I didn't know you were going to go there.
Come at me, son.
Jesus. So, the movie follows the same formatting-ish. It follows...
As in it's a tournament with some to no rules.
Right.
But...
And you have to fight Goro and then Shang Tsung.
Right.
So, it follows in the footsteps. Specifically, unlike in the game, you have a laundry list of people that you can pick
it's
to play
the
as.
column that goes up. And
Right, and you can pick. But in the movie, you follow, 3 main characters?
Yep.
Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage,
And Liu Kang.
Mm-hmm. And they're the champions of Earth, but there's other people who are, good, but they suck.
Yeah, but they're invited for some reason.
Yeah, somehow they were invited.
Mm-hmm.
These three aren't even... Only one was actually really invited to the tournament. That's Liu Kang.
Yeah, because he had a history with all this stuff.
Right. But all three of them have their own reason for coming.
Mm-hmm.
Sonya Blade is trying to go after Kano, who's one of
her partner.
Who killed her partner.
She's a cop.
Yeah, she's like special forces kind of cop.
She's also a terrible cop.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my notes. She's terrible at her
We'll get
job.
there. Yeah, I have a note about her and her. Yeah. And then Johnny Cage is an actor who he does like action movies.
Yeah, and they claim he's a fraud.
Yeah, and they tell him he's fake.
Which, like, who cares? He's
an
actor.
It's 90s. It's the mid 90s. Your perception is everything.
If you're not Jean-Claude Van, then you're nobody.
That's right. So he's going to the tour because his old manager said there's a tour that'll prove that he's the best.
His old manager was actually Shang Tsung, possibly the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there's no
they don't explain that.
You see this guy once, he's like, "Hey, my old manager, cool," or my old master.
Yeah.
It's this old white fat guy.
Yep.
So they all go. They
George
get on
Lucas type.
Basically. You know, it's interesting. We'll get to when we get that scene, but
right.
when we get into the movie itself, we'll get there. But so they all go to the island for the tournament, which is off the coast of Hong Kong, because why not?
Mm-hmm. Sure it is.
Yeah, but it's this giant mountain, so I gotta climb this stairs up this mountain to the top of the mountain.
Yep.
They get into some scraps. Hilarity ensues.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you say so. I didn't pick up on that, but all right.
I mean, badass. No. I can't even finish that. So yeah, they go in. And that's the basis of the movie.
This is the plot synopsis.
That's the plot synopsis.
The spoiler-free review, if you will.
Yes. Which is hard.
I mean, this movie basically has no spoilers. It's one of those cut and dry movies where you know what's going to happen.
Sure.
The entire time.
Oh, yeah. It's like watching the movie Titanic. You know the spoiler, the boat's going to sink at the end. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not watch that movie?
Yeah, I never saw that.
I won't tell you about the old lady that and her.
Cool, yeah. I thought the old lady dropped the water in the diamond at the end. Remember that Britney Spears music video?
No.
I need to stop talking about the music I listen to. So far, I've got Beauty and the Beast soundtrack and Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again music video.
I know a buddy of ours who would enjoy your music selection. Matty G. He'll never listen to this podcast because I've told him too many times and he still hasn't.
All right, come on, Matty G.
I'll tell
First
him.
of all,
I'll tell him we give him a shout out in this episode. Maybe he'll actually listen to it.
Matthew G. Young Matthew G. Stop. I don't remember the point, but whatever you're doing, just stop it. You know you need to do something else.
So, a couple interesting facts before we rip into the movie, because we will.
Not get into the movie, rip into the movie.
That's what I said. We're ripping into the movie.
Let's go.
So, the movie is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson.
That's a pour.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, so
maybe the thing was hope.
So Paul W.S. Anderson, before he married Mila Jovovich, and she was in every movie he ever talked about doing, even
and directed.
Yeah,
because he also did the Resident Evil movies, and she was obviously in them.
Every movie that he has produced or directed or shared a writing credit on since they got married, I'm pretty sure she's in it.
Absolutely.
So this is before then, because I didn't see Mila Jovovich in this movie.
No, I don't think he knew her at this point.
Okay.
But yes.
She probably would have been Sonya Blade, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the girl they got to do Sonya Blade was most famously
Happy, not Happy Gilmore.
No, Billy Madison.
Billy Madison.
So hot.
Oh, that Farana Gavan.
Yeah, exactly. So we go from that to this.
Mm-hmm. Badass bad cop.
Sexy teacher who's got an attitude about everything.
Yep.
To
still has an attitude about everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was gonna say badass bad cop who's got an attitude about everything.
Yeah.
Well. She makes a lot of the same facial expressions in the movie.
Well, she's got RBF.
Yes. Interesting enough, they're gonna reboot this movie next year. I mean, before Corona, who knows now? But
yep.
But it's expected in 2021. And actually,
it's too much head, and that's it. Yeah, that's what
different type of podcast, and it has nothing to
Hey, now you know what I'm talking about.
I'm just.
Do we have an updated cast list for the new movie? Has anybody been confirmed for it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mortal Kombat movie.
And, after this movie, there was obviously a ham-fisted attempt at a sequel, which at the end of the movie we'll get to, but they definitely set up for no reason at all.
Oh no, they did the sequel.
I know they did.
It is just
god-awful
worse. Worst.
It's worse than this.
Like, it is the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at the cast list, and I don't recognize any of the names, so I'm not even going to bring it up.
It's probably, like, a lot of what they did in this one is bring in people who are actual martial artists, which is, I think, the only really good thing about this movie. Except for the girl that did Sonya Blade. She didn't know how to punch, but that's okay.
They did a decent enough job of covering up any shortcomings, though.
Yeah, and using stunt doubles for where they needed to and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like the guy who plays Liu Kang is obviously a martial artist.
You know, he was Mowgli in the live-action Jungle Book.
The most recent one?
Not the... I mean, it was in the 90s.
Oh. No, I didn't
He
know
played
that.
Mowgli.
I did not.
So, do with that information what you will.
Interesting about the fires, but we'll get to it when we get to it. I have a little side story about one of the actors who's in the fight with the first fight with Liu Kang.
Did they play the jaguar in the Jungle Book?
No, not the Jungle Book.
I was gonna say these two have a history. Are we going plot by plot? Spoilers now?
Starting with the opening with that iconic scream.
Okay, first, my favorite thing about that song is they sampled Sonya Blade getting punched from the video game.
Yeah.
Like, you're actually taking samples from the video. I thought that was really cool.
That's smart.
Like, just kind of a thing. And it works.
And one thing about the song in the opening credits is, I mean, you got, jock jams at the same time period. Mm-hmm. So that was very on point. Mm-hmm. And music. So, I mean, you heard that song in clubs after the movie.
Oh, that song was everywhere.
Yeah.
It's still everywhere. Yeah. Forgot what I was going to say. I'm doing real good right now. Okay, so my favorite thing about the very opening is Liu Kang wakes up from a nightmare where Shang Tsung murks his brother. And then he wakes up in this weird green room.
I was going to say, why is it green? Even when Janice and I were watching this, it was like, okay, he's in a green room. Someone take the damn green gel off the camera. Why is it green?
What is this?
It's supposed to be like storming outside, I think. And so the green is like
that doesn't
stormy.
Make sense.
No, not at all.
Well, this is a tornado outside. That's a green sky.
Yeah. But more grayish.
Anyway, he goes over to a fax that just says, "Brother dead, come home." Like, that's all it says.
That iconic thing, the fax machine that everyone had in their homes.
I think it was a Western Union fax. I think it says Western Union. And it just says,
that's a nice product placement right there.
Brother dead, come home.
I wonder how much Western Union paid for the production to get that in there.
Yeah. Apparently they were charging by the letter, too. That's why there was no actual note like, "Lou, so sorry that your brother is that." No, it's just, "Brother dead, come home."
He died in the tournament that you're about to go fight in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was trying to get in, but he didn't. He got his ass whooped.
Yeah, because he's bad at fighting.
Yeah, he's so bad.
Also, why...
With his weird bobbed haircut.
Yeah, a lot of bad hair in this movie.
I mean, it's the mid-'90s. I get it. 80s was bad hair. 90s had bad hair, but I don't think our hair was that bad in the 90s. Probably was.
My hair's pretty bad right now, so...
Well, you got quarantine hair. That's different.
Yeah, it's not my choice.
Mine, too. I just cut mine. Well, Janice cuts mine.
Good on you. Nobody cuts my hair.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, so one of my biggest gripes, and I think it goes more to the game, is the symbol for Mortal Kombat is a cutout of a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Why a dragon?
Racial stereotypes.
I'm saying that's the only thing I think of. Is there's some racial stereotype that says because it's martial arts, it has to be Chinese symbol of dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a tournament that's from outside the Earth. It's not even part of Earth.
So you think they should have just invented some kind of
just some
symbol?
Some symbol.
What about this one?
For people who can't see, which is everyone but me, Carl decided the bird was more important than the dragon.
Yeah, bird's better than a dragon. It's the year of the bird. Give you another one. 2-for-1 special.
I just don't understand. Goro's not a dragon. Shang Tsung's not a dragon. No one talks about dragons. No one fights a dragon.
It would have made more sense if Goro had dragon-type features.
Yeah, if he was some sort of dragon.
Well, it kind of comes full circle in the second movie when Liu Kang turns into a dragon creature.
I don't remember that.
So, like, Liu Kang is the dragon kind of thing.
Yeah, but you can't add that in later into a movie because the symbol comes from the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's basically two white Americans who created this game and racially appropriated.
Or what they thought was appropriate.
How do we make this more, fighting style karate, but by just calling it a Chinese symbol of the dragon?
Yeah, they did good enough, I guess. So we touched on this already, but my next note is second movie in a row with police brutality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They go into a club looking for Kano. They, as in Sonya and Jax, looking for Kano, and
Jax,
they immediately just start jacking people in the face.
I was gonna say she didn't know how to hold a shotgun because she's going in there like the shotgun,
like the Punisher.
Yeah, she's just like douche, douche. But anybody who's ever shot a shotgun knows that as soon as you pull the trigger, the thing's going to fly out your hands and hit someone behind you, unless you put it up against your shoulder, in which case you're still going to get a little sore on the shoulder from a few pumps.
I have a shotgun with a collapsible stock that you could hold at the hip.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I'm not
but
saying
this wasn't that kind of shotgun.
But this was specifically a combat-oriented shotgun. Yeah. It's not designed for shooting from the hip. Plus, any cop who shoots from the hip is going to miss 100% of their shots.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, they're not
going to miss every target. They're going to miss what they're aiming at. They're going to hit a lot of stuff, though.
I'm assuming she has slugs and not buckshot or birdshot in there.
I'm going to pretend it's buckshot. So it sprays everywhere.
Just a spray and pray.
It's a club where... all right, never mind.
But yeah, they go busting this club surrounded by people... No backup.
And they just
the two of them.
They jack them up too.
Yeah.
Like they're knocking them out.
Yeah.
And they're just people that happen to be in the way.
Why is it always in Hollywood movies that if someone gets punched in the face, that they're just down automatically?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both have been punched in the face, and it doesn't knock you out.
No.
You're a little disoriented for a second, but it's not going to knock you out.
I mean, I don't know about any of your hits, but I've been hit enough that, not enough. I took a solid enough shot that my nose immediately started, pouring blood.
Sure.
I've taken a good hit to the face.
It's not good for you by any means.
Yeah, and, I stumbled back
but
a couple of steps.
But it's not a guaranteed knockout.
Yeah. Ooh, see.
Say that one.
Yeah.
That
was foaming up quick.
Yeah, tried to overflow on me.
That beer's a bad bitch. All right. The next thing, they introduced Johnny Cage. They introduced this movie with the first three main characters getting their own little introductory scene. Johnny Cage, then he's filming a movie, he's hitting people, bad stunt double. He says, this is the part where you should fall down. There's a call back to that later. Anyway, most notable thing about this, Johnny Cage's fat former manager, who's actually Shang Tsung, is just like, hey, there's a tournament in Hong Kong tomorrow.
I had the same comment. We know that you cannot get from presumably in LA.
They say he's in LA.
Okay, they do. Yeah. There's no effing way you're getting from LA to Hong Kong on a boat in a day.
Well, I assume he was flying to Hong Kong, but still,
right.
Who's to say if there were any direct flights from LA to Hong Kong that evening?
Right.
Because that's the only way he's getting there.
What's it what's the time change?
-11.
Well, from here it would be -11, but there
-9 then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you're already missing half of the day. By the time you got on the plane, this is obviously pre 9/11, so security isn't what it is. But by the time you got on the plane, you probably already missed the boat.
Yeah, that boat's gone.
Yeah, and why don't you just say it's in 3 days? Who cares if it's tomorrow?
Yeah, why does it need to be tomorrow? Hey, there's a tournament next week.
Yeah.
There's a tournament on Saturday.
It's not like we see him go back to his hotel room or his trailer or whatever, pack his things.
Yeah, no.
Just any amount of time other than tomorrow.
And you saw the amount of bags that he had. That took him hours to pack.
Yeah, and, subtle nod to racism when he shows up, sees the one Asian guy. Apparently there's only one Asian guy in
Hong Kong. The only Asian guy is Liu Kang.
And he's like, hey, you, take my bags. And Liu Kang does what every person should ever do whenever asked to do anything by someone else.
Well, not asked, told.
Sure.
Yeah.
Demanded.
If somebody said, hey, are you help? And Liu Kang
Hey,
was
do you
like,
work
no.
here?
Yeah.
No. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Help. Oh my god.
The help.
That would have been bad too.
It would just. But yeah, then he throws him in the river or whatever.
Whatever that was. Murky water. That was some murky
And what
water.
was it with the guy grinding the metal behind them as they're talking? Just sparks flying.
What is this? Like,
What is he doing?
Boatyard?
Yep, that's how I work on a boat. I grind metal.
He's
just to create
reinforcing
sparks.
steel. Like, yeah, it's literally he has like the end of a crowbar, and he's just putting it up to a grinding stone.
And those sparks were flying so far. Like anybody who does any sort of metalworking would know. Like yes, metal when put on grinder shoots sparks, obviously, but you don't just shoot them randomly 10 feet away from you.
Was he wearing iPro?
I don't know.
I doubt it. This movie's too badass for iPro.
I kind of want to go back and find out now.
Yeah. Oh,
Not really, but
no. Same scene. Johnny Cage accidentally bumps into Sonya Blade. She turns, draws her gun out, and puts it up to his jaw.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
He literally accidentally bumped her, and she. Like
she's a trigger hair away from. Yeah.
she's lucky she didn't just murk her future love interest somehow. Like, if we can
That's
just
true.
touch upon this real quick. One scene they're arguing with each other. The next scene they're talking about how, like, I don't know what I would do without you. You need to be perfect. Or not perfect. Safe. Like,
Oh,
It's-
the whole time he's just a misogynist, and she's like, oh, "You're such a pig, and then that's apparently her thing because at the end of it, spoiler alert, they're hooking up.
they're
basically.
together. Yeah. Before
They'll show that part, but
Before that fight.
can we talk about Liu Kang's hair for a second?
All day.
His big hair that
So-
doesn't move at all.
So perfectly
Even when-
feathered the whole time.
His hair faucet feather.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does his combat moves, and it like, woof, little woof.
A little woof.
I'm saying,
A little woof.
so much hairspray in that hair.
Oh, yeah. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. The
Or is
whole
it
time.
Aqua Net because it's the 90s? Or is that 80s thing? I don't know.
Come on, man. I don't get that reference.
Aquanet was a famous hairspray brand. Made your hair look wet, but helped. What I call it Aquanet.
His hair was dry, though.
I know, sure.
So it wasn't that.
But yeah, I'm surprised he didn't walk around just spraying his hair the entire time.
That would be amazing. Or at least
he
if
would
Johnny
do his move
Cage
and then
was... Like, I would love if Johnny Cage was doing that and Liu Kang was just downwind the whole time. So, like, there was a reason.
just facing the wind.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I have a note. Why choose these people? Like, it seemed like Shang Tsung was the one recruiting all of them. Why didn't he choose, like, you, me, and Matty G? Like,
Well-
just three scrubs to go
Three
and
Matty
just,
G references right
and
there.
just die. Like, why did he
I don't
choose
think-
three people that had a shot?
Well, that's the thing is, he picks these people, and I would agree with that. But I think the one rule that they actually say is that it has to be the greatest warriors of the realm.
Okay, so what are the rules of this tournament?
I'm still going to stick with many, but I don't know.
So who says that they have to be the greatest? Like, did Raiden tell Shang Tsung, like, here's my three?
I think it's something they set up in the games, like the greatest warriors. So this
like,
game, we've already said that this movie relies so heavily on the fact that you've had to know the video game, and it's a fan service to the game. If we haven't said that, I'm saying that now.
What makes you the greatest warrior then?
I don't know. None of them have any
Because-
real combat
no.
training. You don't see them going, okay, well, Johnny Cage actually won 7 tournaments in his youth. Sonya Cage is...
we needed like a bio
Yeah.
for these people or something. Otherwise, like, it's the early 90s. I don't know anybody that was a professional fighter then. Let's say it was the early 2000s, though. Like, it should have been Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, and Tito Ortiz.
At least go find Jean-Claude Van
and his
Damme.
damn van. Like, go find Jean-Claude's damn van to get Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Stallone should have been in here. I mean, at this point, we had Rockies.
Oh my god, Schwarzenegger, you have to assume. At least he would have just been like a big beefy guy that could have held his own against Goro.
I mean, Schwarzenegger
Maybe.
was what was that, Mr. Olympian? Or
Yeah,
something
but
like
that doesn't translate to fighting.
No, but
They're like, in the early 90s, you had the Gracie family just like essentially revolutionizing mixed martial arts with
and people don't know
with
Gracie's-
jujitsu.
Yeah, they created what we know to be jujitsu now.
Like, and like jujitsu can be deadly. Like if you
Sure.
just get the hold and then just hold it substantially too long, people are dead.
Oh yeah.
So, and this movie has no jujitsu in it whatsoever. A
No.
little bit of
I
judo.
don't know. It has
Mostly
any-
kickboxing.
It's mostly kickboxing and a little bit of karate, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And then even in games, that's basically what you get. You don't get ground grapples.
Except the new games.
I haven't played any of them games.
Oh my!
in so
You could
long.
actually like each character has multiple fighting styles, and you could switch through fighting styles as it happens. And it's not just like karate, judo, jiu-jitsu. It's like very specific. Like one guy's will be karate, but it'll be 3 different forms of karate that he can switch through.
So they finally put some thought and process into the combat system. You know, at some point in the beginning, you know, when Liu Kang he shows up in the temple before he goes and throws the bags in the river, but he shows up into the temple, and he doesn't believe Raiden is the Thunder God.
Yeah.
And a little backtracking, the gods create the realms, and they created the rules which don't exist. It's the Elder Gods, and Raiden is one of the Elder Gods.
Which we find out in the next movie. No, he isn't. There's 3 Elder Gods, and Raiden isn't one of them.
Right. That's why you're
However-
able to play as him in the games,
Yeah.
because he says he is, but he's not.
Yeah.
But so this temple, which is like a Shaolin monk temple,
They're all just standing there.
Yeah.
Like,
and they all have buzzed hairs like Shaolins do, except for his brother and Liu Kang. Neither of them do.
they have perfectly feathered hair, as the best Shaolin fighters are known to have.
Right. And he's like, you're not a god. Why do you follow him as a god? And everybody's like, forgive him, Lord Raiden. He knows not what he do.
Too much television.
Yeah. But
And then Raiden does a very basic judo hip throw to Liu Kang.
Yeah,
and
just
then Liu
throws
Kang's
it.
like, "Oh my god,
you must really be
yeah,
him.
you must be him."
And then he sees the lightning in the eyes.
Yeah, you've done judo once.
So Christopher Lambert plays Raiden.
I always forget that Christopher Lambert is in this movie,
Yeah, me too.
and then I watch it.
You know what else he's also been in?
The Highlander.
Highlander. Do you think he got struck by lightning so many times in Highlander because he was, because in Highlander movies, if you've never seen or never seen the show, there can only be one, and every time you decapitate another Highlander or an immortal or whatever they're called, a lightning strikes the winner because they get their their mojo. So did he win?
You're proposing this is the same universe?
Yes.
Like Christopher Lambert,
Christopher Lambert got struck by
Highlander,
so many times.
became Lord Raiden.
Yes.
So the
Because he got struck by lightning so many times.
The Highlander actually throws years out there because they have to establish he's been stealing identities and stuff. And they actually talk about one of the identities he steals was a baby that was born or whatever in whatever year. So they establish years. This movie never establishes years. So theoretically,
It's the 90s.
is it the 90s though?
Sure.
Did they just say, "Oh, this is the 90s"?
No, but you can tell by the clothing and the hair.
But this
Always
could
come
be
back to the hair.
this could be an alternate Highlander universe where this is like 2020. So like
Okay.
the Highlander has been going on. Eventually, he got struck by lightning so many times he got electrical powers, and then he just moved to China and was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm the god of thunder now."
Yeah.
So he never has to establish a new identity.
Yep. My name is Raiden. Yep.
I don't think so.
So you make that voice. Janice asked me watching, and she says, "Why is it like people in these movies always have raspy voices?" I laughed hard, but I was like, "That's actually Christopher
Yeah,
Lambert's real voice."
that's just Christopher Lambert.
Because he's a French actor turned American, and apparently he just had. I think that was his American voice because he probably has a French voice because his dad's like
Most likely.
French. I looked him up, and he was
Well, let's say his name is actually Christopher Lambert,
yeah,
but we're gonna say Lambert because we're in America.
right, and he's an American actor,
Yeah.
but I think that's just his American voice. Because foreign actors that always change their voices to be Americanized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really just what that comes down to.
Oh, I'm all about that.
But yeah, she made that comment. It's like, why is everybody's voice all raspy? I was like, well, either he smoked like 12 packs a day, or that's really just what he sounds like.
Both are possible.
Probably true. And he's French. The French love their cigarettes.
That's true. I almost made a joke I shouldn't have made. Okay, moving on. What are the rules of this tournament?
Why do you keep asking me? I didn't make the game.
Because as soon as they get on the boat, Shang Tsung sends Scorpion and Sub-Zero to presumably kill the three main characters immediately when they get on the boat.
You see the bad lightning come down the stairs, and everybody's like, and
then Layden jacks them up, and he's like, "That's against the rules, Shang Tsung. You know that.
You can't. The tournament hasn't started yet."
So if that's against the rules, like, how would that have even counted? Like,
well, you can't kill off the tournament.
But he tried to. So, like, is there a penalty for breaking the rules? Like, what are the rules? What is the punishment for breaking the rules?
I think at that point, if you break that rule, they just put in the different characters.
But the boat's leaving.
But the tournament hasn't started. The tournament hasn't opened yet.
Yeah.
So then
they just have to deal with, like, there was that one dude that was buddies with Johnny Cage. Like, is he now Earth's greatest fighter?
Pretty much.
He gets murked.
He does.
Spoiler alert.
So does TJ Storm, but we'll get there.
Who's TJ Storm?
That's the one I'll get to. That's my side story.
Okay.
But okay, so we're on the boat, and we've seen it before, but you know they hold up the newspaper with Johnny Cage's face on it. Mm-hmm. Why does it look like gay porn? Yeah, like he's shirtless, and he's got this weird look on his face.
He's clearly screaming.
Like, I understand, like, it's a tabloid paper, and tabloids want to find the worst possible, but like it just looked like a gay porn propaganda.
It was strange. It was very strange.
Couldn't understand it.
Also,
him and his roar face, that's what it was like.
But Johnny Cage's buddy, presumably also from America because he sounds American, and also Johnny Cage and him go way back.
Yeah.
He's standing in Hong Kong reading a Chinese newspaper. So
with the same imagery.
Yes, but also it's clearly in Chinese. Like, so this guy just knows how to read Chinese.
Well, of course. Why else would you go to Hong Kong if you didn't know how to read Chinese?
Because the fight. He's on a boat. He gets murked by Goro in a minute.
It really does.
And they just stand there and cheer. Oh my god.
I love also. Sorry, go back. I keep going back, but Sonny goes running onto the boat, and Jax is just like, "No, stop,
Sonya,
stop,
don't do that.
Come back."
Sonya! Sonya!
He put zero effort to stopping her.
Yeah. No.
And I don't understand. Like, Jax is a character that shows up. He's in the second movie and he goes in the fight. But in the game, he's got a bionic arm, which you see in the second movie.
The second movie gets him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played by a different actor.
Why even put him in the first movie? He was literally just a fan service at that point.
Well, yeah. I guess it was to build the lore because the second Mortal Kombat, which had Jax in it, had come out by the time this movie came out, and I guess it was just like world building, essentially.
I could see that. But you could call him anybody else. It could have been Johnny. Or Shane.
There's already a Johnny.
I know. That's why I stopped saying
it. There's already a
Shang.
Shane. Shang. There's already
a Shang.
I
said Shane, but sure.
Yeah, I know, but Shang's too close.
Fair.
His name could have been
Roger.
Blitzen.
Blitzen? Yeah. One of the Santa's reindeer?
Yeah.
He could be Rudolph.
Nah, that's too much. It's too obvious of a nod. He's Blitzen. Alright, so Jax is actually Blitzen in this movie. Okay.
And that's the last we see of him.
So, I have a note. CG was bad. And
my note was janky CGI.
CG was bad. And then they introduced Reptile, which is the worst CG.
The Reptile, when they get to the island, oh my god.
He's like a little...
Where was the money spent in this movie?
Yeah.
They spent money somewhere, because what was the budget? I wrote it down. The budget was $70 million, and they made $122. So they made money. They made $50 million.
That's actually considered a loss, because you're supposed to double the movie's marketing, or double the movie's budget to figure in marketing, and then the gross should be double the movie's budget.
I don't know if that holds true in a movies from the 90s. Because what marketing...
That could be true.
Like, marketing now, I understand that be true, because you're doing, product placements.
Right.
You're selling, rights to merchandise to other companies. I understand that now, but I don't know if 90s that would hold as true.
A movie is expected to double its budget to be considered a hit, though.
Well, this is definitely not considered a hit by anybody.
But yeah, this movie didn't double its budget.
Okay.
And then it got a sequel with only 2 actors returning.
They saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
One thing, we talked about the CGI, but like,
I just wrote my next note. I'm sorry.
but on the boat, like that star drop when they're talking outside, I've seen better star drops in high school plays. And coming from someone who was in high school plays, in college plays.
But also, why did the tournament start off with the laser light show?
I don't know. They definitely spent their money in the wrong place in this damn. I don't understand what
it wasn't even like on the actors that they spent money, because it was Chris Lambert and Veronica Vaughn, which that's not her real name. That's her name in the Billy Madison movie.
Yeah.
I don't know her real name. Don't care to know it.
Well, also the guy who plays Shang Tsung is, I don't know his name, but he's
that famous.
Yeah.
He's that famous.
He's recognizable. Let's go with that.
We know the name of one actor in this movie off the top of our head.
Yeah, that's true.
So they didn't spend it on the actors.
Well, I can see Christopher Lambert getting nothing, but you know,
$9 million maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
And
that's the thing.
That is a stretch to say in the early 90s.
And even the director, this is like his first foray into mainstream directing. So it's
he should have stopped at this movie also if the Resident Evil series was what was to come. And it was. Spoiler alert. He should have stopped. Maybe make the first Resident Evil movie. It's watchable. And then after that, what the hell?
That's another movie we got to do. I don't want to do that one.
Have to? We have to do that.
Yes, we have to.
You're going to just keep making me watch these movies.
I am.
Subjecting me to these movies, I should say. Okay, so my next note is they're all eating dinner. Shang Tsung goes, now for a taste of things to come. And a bunch of henchmen come in and flip some shit, and then a henchman gets killed by Sub-Zero for some reason.
Why did they flip the tables? Like, I understand they want to get the tables out of the way, but they could have just picked the moon off to the side. Just come and flip the tables.
My note was, who greased all these guys up? Because they are all oiled. Oh. Like, they're all oiled. And some of them are not muscular guys. Some of them are chubby dudes. Like, it's just a bunch of henchmen, but someone's back there oiling up.
All people who are on steroids, they just eat different quantities of food.
Yeah.
Because they're all super ripped guys, but what's the point? Like, if you look at most martial artists, they're not bulky.
Yeah.
They're lean.
Oh, they're ripped.
Yeah.
Shredded,
because
one might say.
Yeah, because bulky slows you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that.
And the Sub-Zero killed somebody on Shang Tsung's side. So I again ask, what are the rules of this tournament? Why are you just killing your own guys? Does it not matter? Do you just have an infinite number of people to keep throwing at the fight?
Well, see, what they did is they borrowed those guys from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had the exact same look
and
to them.
They didn't have a heart because they got torn out by that guy.
Yeah, by the Kali Ma guy in Indiana Jones.
So these are all the same universe.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, Mortal Kombat, and Highlander.
Yep.
So, yeah, well, I guess Shang Tsung, he doesn't care if a henchman gets killed because he's really banking on Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Goro.
Yeah.
And maybe Reptile to just murk everybody. And apparently Katana, maybe, because she fights Liu Kang.
The 10,000-year-old woman who looks like she's, 22.
But she fights Liu Kang and then just, takes him down, just takes him down and then says, heed my warning, and walks away. And Shang Tsung's like, you disappoint me. So, was she supposed to murk Liu Kang right there?
She was. Yeah.
Why is she even in the fight? Why did she agree to do the fight?
I don't know. She's on the side of Goro in Shang Tsung. She's from the Outworld.
In the lore, yeah, but she's like an Outworld spy, essentially. Like, she's not on their side because Shang Tsung overthrew her father.
Yeah, she's like the adopted daughter to Shang Tsung or
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn, yeah.
Who's Shang Tsung's boss, essentially.
Yeah, Shao Kahn, the whatever sorcerer or whatever.
Okay, here, real positive note. The fight scenes in this movie are actually really cool.
Yeah,
they're fun to watch.
They spent money on the choreography. I I think that's where they spent all their money. And it's
they slowed down a lot of stuff.
Who can we get to do this reptile animation that has zero dimension? That's
also, he's just like a weasel lizard.
Yeah, so I understand the reptile is a nod to the character in the game. That's a reptile.
Who's a secret character in the game.
And they make it a secret character in the movie, which we'll get to when we get there.
Kind of, but he's filled with worms.
No.
But they spent a lot on the fight budget because they had to cover up so many shortcomings. You could tell by the amount of slow motion in the fight scenes. A lot of these guys didn't know what the hell they were doing.
No.
They had to slow it up and do different angles. Yeah. So the fight choreography was very expensive. So I'm going to read 3 notes in a row. What are the rules of this tournament? Fights are cool, but everything's slowed down. What are the rules of this tournament? I don't remember exactly what happened. But yeah, they just keep doing stuff.
Well, the henchmen aren't part of the tournament. That's the thing. Is that they're just like flash pomp and stance kind of thing. They're not in the tournament because you see when we get to the tournament, people who are not the henchmen fighting. Nobody fights a henchman in the tournament itself.
Oh, I think this note was because Liu Kang fought that dude, and then Shang Tsung just took his soul. So, like, is that part of the tournament rules? Where, like, if you die, Shang Tsung can steal your soul? Or
no, but that's how Shang Tsung gets his powers. They briefly explain that, and it's Shang Tsung gets his powers by defeating people and stealing their soul. That's how
he didn't defeat the dude.
That was my thing too. Is he knocks that guy out, or Liu Kang knocks the guy, and then Shang Tsung's like, "Your soul is mine," which is a nod to the game. Because that's what happens in the game. Shang Tsung wins. He goes, "Your soul is mine," and that's I think was just a nod of like, "Don't forget, this is a video game movie. This is based on a video game. So here's this." Can we talk about Goro for a second?
My very next note was, why didn't you bring in Goro off the rip? Like, just
off the rip?
Yeah. Like, hey,
from the get-go?
Yeah. Sonya, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage's friend from America. Y'all gonna fight Goro today? Like, I know you just got here, but y'all gonna fight Goro today.
And that is the most jacked up animatronics I've ever seen.
It's weird.
Like, you just see this like claptrap mouth, the double height. Like, he has 4 arms. I get that.
He needs a longer torso. He has longer arms, more arms.
I don't think he needed a longer torso. Like, not to make a comparison, when I make a comparison, look at Pokemon and look at Machamp.
Oh yeah, because that realistic creature.
But the arms made sense because it has it's 4-armed creature.
Weren't they like coming out of their shoulders though?
No, that was like Geodude or whatever. Machamp is the fighter Pokemon. That's purple.
Yeah.
Geodude.
Machamp.
Yes.
Yeah, they're coming out of his shoulders.
No, he has. No, I'm pretty sure that's Geodude and. It is.
Yeah, they're coming out of his shoulders.
I still feel like that's a better layout.
Other than just lowering the second set of arms?
I assume that there's a actor in the bottom half of Goro. And then they put this contraption on top of that actor's body.
You think it's like a horse scenario? Where
Yes.
It's like a guy on another guy's shoulders?
Yes.
Or something? It's 2 guys playing one character?
Basically. And everything else is animatronic. The top set of arms and the face and stuff like that's all animatronics. But it's so bad. Like... You've seen 100% better from Jim Henson Studios well before that. And I don't understand how they... Again, where did the budget go? Where did they spend the money?
Mila Jovovich' wedding?
That may be. How much did he get for directing this?
Like he took $70 million to make this movie. He spent 30 of it on his wedding with Mila Jovovich.
And go back to Goro... He grunts like a Neanderthal, but when he starts talking, it's like he has an Oxford education.
Yeah.
Which is it?
Yeah.
So we get to the tournament, and you talked about the guy that Shang Tsung steals his soul. That guy is TJ Storm. That's the actor's name.
Okay.
And
that's not his real name.
No, it's not.
All right.
But his real so
as long as we can establish that.
So, well, that's his actor name.
Okay. I'll roll with that. I'll give you
So I was watching this with Janice, and I said, I recognize this actor, and I don't know why. So I looked him up and realized it was T.J. Storm. It's because he's actually a moderator and a DM or dungeon master for D&D Beyond.
Okay.
And that's where I know him from. Is from D&D. But he was looking up he actually has 7 martial art championships under his belt.
So he's legit.
He's legit. He actually does a lot of motion capture. That's one word for a lot of other characters. Like, he's a legit martial artist / stuntman /
Does he do it for video games too? Like
possibly
the mocap suit and all that?
Maybe.
How often does he roar like a tiger? Because he does that in this movie.
I don't know. But
you saw it.
I did.
He screamed and roared like a tiger.
Yeah.
And then
with his dreads
soul was
flying
taken.
behind him and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. No, I saw that.
Okay, so this
and then he
is
gets
like,
his ass handed to him by Liu Kang.
So this guy would be great for this podcast. Like, he's into martial arts and nerddom.
Yeah, so somebody knows TJ Storm.
Yeah,
somehow get him
give us our
connected.
info. Or give us our info. Give him our info.
Maybe we could connect with him on
Twitter?
Twitter.
I mean, tweet at him.
Yeah.
I'll tweet at him.
Tweet at him and be like, hey, we gave you a shout out here. You're an awesome martial
artist. I'll give him a tweet. We talk about you around the 59-minute mark. Timothy James Storm.
Okay. He's from like Hawaii or something like that. So he has a Hawaiian name, but
TJ Hawaii.
Sure.
That's a Samoan name. That was really offensive to Pacific culture, and I'm sorry.
Jesus.
It may not have been offensive, but it was ignorant of the culture.
It was ignorant.
I only know that because Roman Reigns, WWE wrestler, his real name is Joanna Hawaii, and he's Samoan. Fair. So it may not be anything. Maybe they have similar last names. Yeah. I don't know. I apologize if I offended any Pacific Islanders. That's what I'm trying to say.
Fair enough.
Anyway, Sonya gets Kano first, who Shang Tsung admits is an idiot this entire movie. He literally just used him to get Sonya on the island. So we're not wrong if we call him a goober. TJ Storm, unnamed guy in the movie, goober. Johnny Cage has to fight Scorpion his first fight.
Yeah.
So
but not in the tournament grounds. It's like some random like.
What are the rules of this tournament? That's my next note.
What is this forest thing that's just like these weird trees with no leaves?
Is this on this island? Like, this is a tropical island. Where did you get this pine grove that you shaved all the trees up 50 feet?
Don't know.
So why?
What's with the thing coming up and saying? Like, I understand that's Scorpion's thing.
Yeah.
But I always assumed it was basically like Scorpion's tail. But this thing that comes out of hand looks sentient.
It's a living creature.
Eyes and a beak, and it screams. And then, he goes running around and jumping through the trees and stuff like that. And, he does the, get over here. But the, get back here. Like,
and he says, get down here at one point.
Yeah.
And it always echoes.
Yeah.
Because Scorpion echoes in the game. I do appreciate... Scorpion is the most, like, video game true to character that they do in this movie.
They do a good job.
He does all the greatest hits of Scorpion. Like, he even, like, during the cage fight, he tries the fatality where he rips the mask off and it's just a skull.
Yeah.
And he breathes fire. Like, Scorpion does all the greatest hits.
Note about that. The second podcast in a row, we had a character who's just a flaming skull.
We need to start doing some other stuff, because I've had enough of this stuff also.
But going about that, apparently hell is just a bunch of scaffolding with some moss hanging on it.
Is that hell?
Or
is that just Scorpion's home or
and
something?
I had to
is that Scorpion's realm?
No, it's supposed to be hell. But I had to explain this to Janice. It's like, in the game, you can knock people through the floor into hell. And I think that's what that was supposed to be an homage to.
Because hell's in the basement of every house.
Right.
What are the rules of this tournament? Like, you're allowed to just warp people to other realms or hell. Well, we'll say hell's its own realm. There's 18 of them. Hell can be one.
I mean, there's a portal in the bottom of the floor. You push the button, the floor opens up, and they fall through the portal.
Sure. Johnny Cage tried to do his shadow kick thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Greatest hits of all the video game characters.
And Liu Kang does his wheel kick thing.
Way later on, but yeah, he does it. Maybe not way later. Anyway.
It's in the same.
Irrelevant at this point. Yeah. So you're allowed to just change realms. Like, willy-nilly, doesn't matter?
Yeah, because hell, I would imagine, would be its own
Raiden
realm.
states that's against the rules later in this movie.
Yeah.
When Shang Tsung takes Sonya to Outworld. So, it's okay if Scorpion does it, but Shang Tsung can't do it. Also, it's against the rules, but they both just do it anyways. How does Johnny Cage get back?
From hell?
Riddle me that.
He climbed up the scaffolding.
Riddle me that.
He climbed up the scaffolding.
Okay. Anyway. Johnny Cage kills Scorpion with a blade shield, whatever. And then Scorpion explodes, whatever. And then Johnny Cage, an autograph drops that says, to my biggest fan, Johnny Cage. Okay, my note. Did Johnny Cage have a picture of himself in his martial arts gear that he autographed and threw at Scorpion after Scorpion died? Or did Scorpion have an autographed Johnny Cage picture on him?
Yes. He was a giant
exploded.
Fan. Yes, absolutely. He just carries a picture of Johnny Cage around with him.
What? Who was that for? Who was that scene for? What was that scene?
I don't know.
What?
Let's not forget that Johnny Cage is a famous actor, so, he's got to be...
He's famous in hell?
Yes. I don't know. I have nothing. My thought was that it was he carried it around with him just because.
I've been
He's a big
sitting
fan.
here.
He's his number one fan. It
Since
says in the picture, he's number one fan.
to my number one fan, Johnny. Like either way, it makes absolutely no amount of sense.
No.
And hold on. Here's a real question I have for you at this moment in time. What are the rules of this tournament? Because Liu Kang now has to fight Sub-Zero. And
which is probably the best fight in the entire movie.
yeah, it's actually a really good fight.
Surprisingly.
But Katana just drops water buckets.
No, so the water buckets were
So
put
you
there by
can cheat?
Raiden.
That was
So Raiden cheated.
I further stress my point.
Yeah, Jadis
Anyone can just do anything?
Yeah. So you see somebody mopping up the floor, which sure, there's a guy mopping the floor, and it quickly
You gotta keep your fight forwards clean.
it quickly flashes to Christopher Lambert, and then he leaves the bucket. Backing up, back up to that, and it's when Liu Kang and Katana are fighting, and she's like, you must seek the element that brings life, which
Yes.
apparently is water.
Well, that's factually accurate. Read a book.
I would say it's not, but there's more earthen elements in life than is water, but that's okay.
Read a book.
Yes, I know humans are 90% water or something
It's
like
at least 96.
that. At least.
But anyway, sorry. Carry on. I'll stop trolling you for a moment so you can explain
No,
your
you
thoughts.
won't.
No, so you can explain your thoughts. I'll stop.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so Raiden's like, okay, I'm just gonna leave these buckets of water here because otherwise my fighters are gonna get their ass whooped by Sub-Zero because Sub-Zero is basically invincible otherwise.
Yeah, and so is Scorpion, unless you have a shield with some swords on the end of it. And then he explodes, but he's a big Johnny Cage fan, so that's good. Okay, so in actuality, if you were in a big freezing little ice cloud and I threw water at you, it would just splash you and then your skin would freeze.
Well, he throws it in and the water freezes. It goes through the frozen sphere that's expanding, and I get that it's flash frozen, but it wouldn't suddenly become a pointed spike. It would look like the water going through it in droplets and probably just fall on the other side.
Also, how is the ice guy not immune to ice?
Well, see, so in the lore of the game, Sub-Zero is a what do they call it? I forget the words. Basically, he's an ice wizard. I know, and Luke and Scorpion is an undead warrior. Like, I don't understand why you just don't make them all undead warriors.
Because you need an ice wizard.
Because you need an ice wizard.
What's Reptile?
I don't know. Reptile.
He's a weasel lizard.
What's Smoke?
That becomes
It's a character you don't see until the second
what about Noob
movie.
Saibot?
I don't know that one.
He's Smoke and Noob Saibot, or yeah, they're like comparable. It's like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but it's Smoke and Noob Saibot.
Which is the next movie.
Yeah,
Is Smoke inside the next one. But yeah, like
Siret. Oh my god, there's robots.
But then he gets struck by the ice spear from the bucket of water. Okay, he gets stabbed, but then he turns into ice. Like,
Because he's a wizard. You said it yourself.
so he turned himself into ice?
Yep. It's like a cocoon.
So he's freezing. He's cryogenically freezing himself to preserve his
Walt
self.
Disney.
I'm saying.
He's going Walt Disney.
He's going full Walt Disney on
Yep.
this one.
Because otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
And
Makes sense.
And they would not have that in this movie.
So I wrote down literal Deus Ex Machina, and for people who don't know, Deus Ex Machina is a theatrical term which basically means the machine of the gods. It goes back to ancient Greece theater, where they would resolve a play by literally having a machine that they labeled the Deus Ex Machina, where they drop in some sort of resolution brought by the gods.
Essentially.
Yeah. Anybody who's seen the movie Dodgeball.
Underdog.
No.
That lovable comic book dog. He was about to die in that movie. Like, the dog catcher had a knife to his throat.
I never saw that
and
movie.
then he got struck by lightning. So it's a Deus Ex Machina, or whatever. I say Deus, you say Deuce. We've gone back and forth on this, and
Once.
with every character. So yeah, the movie Underdog, which I have never seen, I'm assuming is just resolved with the Deus Ex Machina.
But I was really referring to the movie Dodgeball, an Underdog Story, which is the name of that movie.
Opposed to Underdog, a dodgeball story.
Exactly. But at the end of the movie, you see the giant chest of money from the win the tournament. It actually says Deus Ex Machina on it as the machine of God, because it's just a clever quotation plot device to make everything better.
Yeah.
It just resolves everything. It doesn't matter. This is what these unsurmountable odds, and all of a sudden,
just happened.
Yeah. And I say this because that's exactly what that bucket of water is. It's just,
and
it's literally put there by Raiden, who's a god,
quote unquote.
He's a god in this particular
in this movie. Yes, he's a god.
But it's literally put there, so it's a literal Deus Ex Machina.
Good for
That's
him.
my theater nerd coming out.
So the next fight, Goro shows up. Shang Tsung's like, it's time. And Goro's like, well, it's about time. You should have just introduced me off the rip, bro.
Off the rip.
And so Goro was there. He was crushing a 6-pack of beer. And Shang Tsung's like, yo, bro, you ready? And he's like, bro, why don't you bring me in off the rip? And then Goro goes up and he just starts throwing people around. Apparently they die or whatever. So now Johnny Cage's buddy has to fight Goro. And at no point in time do the main three characters be like, yo, dude, you shouldn't do this. They just stand there and they're like, cool, come on, you got this. Look at this guy.
Forearm guy, you've won like maybe a couple belts in
Yeah.
a couple competitions. Why not? Go
I
for
mean,
it.
Goro shows up. It's indoors. He's wearing sunglasses. He's got a visor turned upside down, wearing it backwards also. He's crushing beers.
Shotgun them.
Yeah.
One in each of his forearms.
Yeah. Actually, I really like that. I wish Goro did that in this movie.
That'd be actually pretty good. Got his visor on with his frost tips, because that was
oh my
90s
god,
thing.
he frosted the tip of his ponytail.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Goro. Okay, but yeah, they very casually just encourage this guy to be like, yo, you got this guy.
And then you see this montage of people get their ass handed them to this from Goro.
And then Goro kills Johnny Cage's friend by grabbing him with his bottom arms and pounding on him with his top arms. You know, greatest hits from the game. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That was one of Goro's finishing moves, was to basically pound you into the ground.
And then Shang Tsung says flawless victory, but like Johnny Cage's buddy got in some good shots. That was not a flawless victory. It did not take much of Goro's health away.
Yeah, if there was a health bar above him, it'd be, a sliver.
Yeah,
but
it
he
would
be
took
flawless.
health away. It was not flawless. Yeah. They just made him say flawless victory just because. And then Shang Tsung ate this guy's soul or whatever.
Because that's what he does.
One time it goes in through the eye. One time it goes in through the hand. Nobody knows how soul absorption works. They need to
Even Shang Tsung doesn't know.
They need to read a book on soul absorption. And then immediately the next scene, Johnny Cage and Sonya are in love because they watched Johnny Cage's buddy get murdered.
I mean, tragedy always brings out the romantic side of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know this.
Sure. Yep. That's what they say.
I mean, think about, the Wedding Crashers. The final scene in Wedding Crashers when they're, they meets up with Will Ferrell. He's like, oh, better than weddings is funerals.
Grief is the most natural aphrodisiac.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, tragedy it encourages love or whatever. W.S. Anderson came out with this shit sandwich and then married Mila Jovovich. So she's like, oh, hey, you're struggling right now. You're a really bad director. He's not that bad. I'm tearing into him right now because jokes. But he's made some really bad movies.
Yeah. And that final battle between them and Goro.
Johnny Cage and Goro?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, they make him be this badass. He just whooped everybody's ass. And all of a sudden, all Johnny Cage has to do is knock him off a cliff.
Okay, but...
with a cheap shot to the crotch.
Real talk. What was Johnny Cage's strategy if Goro didn't have balls? Like, this is some otherworldly being. You don't know if they reproduce by budding. Like, how do you know that he has balls?
Well, he got the pep talk from Raiden, and it was like, how do we defeat them? And Raiden's like, good question. They can be defeated. Only if you believe in yourself. Because, daily affirmations and all.
So he made
Gosh darn it, I like me.
He made Goro's balls into fact by
Yes.
believing that they were there.
Right. Never mind that in the games, it just he just has a high armor rating and he hits hard, and it just takes a lot of dodging and combo moves to actually beat Goro in the game.
Also, Johnny Cage's move doesn't work on Goro in the game.
You can't do the split. That's a finishing move, but yeah, you can't really do
It's not a
finishing
finishing move. It's a regular move. You could do it like all match long.
split.
Yeah, the split ball punch. You can do that all match long, but it doesn't work on Sonya or Goro.
So you understand, Goro.
Goro?
I mean, he's a weird prince. Why is Goro prince in this? Who's he a prince of?
How do you know how he reproduces? How do you know if that's even a sensitive spot? Maybe his sensitive spot's in his lower back.
Yeah, they made this movie for kids. They definitely, even though it was like
that's why you
PG-13.
like it so much.
Honestly, when this movie came out, it was on pay-per-view, and this was back in the day when pay-per-view
Oh, you grew up in a fancy household where you could order pay-per-view.
I did definitely order this on pay-per-view and watch it probably 4 or 5 times.
Show
straight
it off
back to
now.
back to back. But yeah,
Okay.
and then they beat Goro and they go jumping through
This
the
is the
portal.
part where you fall down. You need to point that out because it comes full circle from the beginning of the movie where the guy didn't know when to fall down.
Yeah.
Also, Johnny Cage says those are $500 sunglasses. Like, Johnny Cage's supposed to be like a super famous movie star. I own a pair of $300 sunglasses.
Now, but think $300,
Okay, yeah, that makes
$500 in the 90s. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it would've been a
high-end
couple
sunglasses
grand.
now are probably a couple thousand.
Oh, more than that. I'm sure a pair of Gucci sunglasses are like 10 grand.
Probably. I mean, you think about it, people walk around in like $200 pair of tennis shoes regularly. Like, it's just, that's what they do now.
I mean, yeah. Good shoes are good shoes, man.
Oh no, let's not say they're good shoes. They're just high-end. Doesn't make them good. They're still the same sweatshops making them. But so, and then Shang Tsung, like you said, grabs Sonya and runs through the portal to the Outer Worlds, and you see
Raiden say, "Hey, that's against the rules, Shang Tsung."
But what are the rules, Carl? What are the rules?
What are the rules? And then why can't Raiden can't follow because reasons?
Well, they can't go to the other realms.
Why?
I don't know.
He's not like they established in the next movie.
But that's the next movie. That's not this movie.
I'm just gonna make that noise. That's how I feel about
But
that.
Raiden does tell them, "I've taught you all I can," which is nothing.
He didn't teach them anything.
I'm saying
He
there was
did
nothing he taught them. It was just, "I've taught you all I can," with bunch of just non sequiturs and bullshit
Yeah,
advice.
believe in yourself. Old
You can do
Spice.
it.
Old Spice has comparable commercials where they say "believe in your smell." That's as good of a thing.
I do like they show up in Outer Worlds and Reptile falls into that one statue and then like gets sucked in and then it becomes Reptile the character.
Yeah.
I do like that because Liu Kang's like, "Oh, I don't know what you're doing." Johnny Cage is like, "Oh, what are you doing, Liu Kang?" And he punches him or throws him or
He
whatever,
grabs the weasel lizard by the
which is in chameleon mode at the
neck.
time,
Yeah.
But
So
I do
Liu Kang's
like
getting
that.
better. That also shows character progression or
It does.
whatever.
But it's also a nod to the secret character that is Reptile in the video games, which you have to do certain things to actually unlock that battle
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
It's not just an automatic thing. So it's kind of a nice homage. But yeah, like you said before, he beats him, and then which is when he does the wheel kick thing.
Yeah.
He kicks him through the wall,
Also-
and all of a sudden these is mealworms and
Yeah, he becomes
whatnot.
worms. But in the second movie, Sub-Zero's brother, Sub-Zero, shows up.
Sub-Zero's brother Sub-Zero.
And the actor that plays Sub-Zero in the second movie is the guy that does the fight scenes for Reptile in this movie.
Is it?
Yeah. So that's, they couldn't get Johnny Cage, Raiden, or Sonya Blade, or Jax back, but they got the guy that played Reptile in that
Yes.
2-minute fight scene. Also,
Was it 2 minutes? I'm pretty sure it was shorter than that.
yeah, maybe 2 minutes. So Reptile gets defeated, turns into a bunch of bugs and stuff. He dies. So were Sub-Zero and Scorpion weasel lizards that got sucked into statues and
That's a
gained
good
power?
question.
Were
Because they'll have the same like face mask thing.
yeah, they're all the
going
same
on.
guy. Just one's green, one's
The
yellow,
Smoke's
one's
the same
blue.
way. He's
He's
gray.
gray.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Were they all weasel lizards that got sucked into statues?
That's a good possibility. But in the lore, no. In the lore of the game, like I said, Sub-Zero is an ice wizard,
Yep.
and
He's a wizard.
Sub-Zero is an undead warrior.
Maybe instead of a weasel lizard, he's a weasel wizard.
Weasel wizard?
Well, because Reptile was a weasel lizard that got sucked into a statue. Sub-Zero is a weasel wizard that got sucked into a statue.
Maybe they're a race that exists in Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
That is just a bunch of weasel-looking dinosaur
Screaming creatures.
thingies.
Because they understand English, but they can only scream and scream talk.
Then maybe Reptile is the one version of that race that can spit acid, and Sub-Zero is the one version that can spit ice.
Because he's a wizard.
He's a wizard.
Yep. And then Scorpion can spit fire because...
And things out of his hands that look like weird birds.
Bird with lizards. Everything has a piece of lizard to it, I guess. So then they sneak into Shang Tsung's palace as druids, and that's that. That's just how it happens. How does it happen? Nobody knows. They just show up as druids.
Well, presumably they did the whole trope of hiding behind some boxes, wait some people walk by.
Hiding in a box.
Or in a box.
And the box just kept
But as they see, a couple druids walk by, they grab them from behind, throw them behind the box. You hear
hit him in the back of the head with a brick.
You hear some scuffling. They throw it on, be like, "Oh, this one's too fat. This one's too big." It's that whole trope that every show likes to throw in there when they want to disguise somebody randomly into a group of random NPCs.
And Katana, she knows all about being a druid in the lizard world.
Oh my god.
And then Shang Tsung makes Liu Kang fight a bunch of other people before
which are
fighting him.
Fight your enemies or what? Because it's fight yourself, fight.
It was face yourself, face your fear, face your enemy.
Yeah.
And his enemy was Shang Tsung.
No, his enemies were that group of people that popped out of the ground.
Which I thought was a kind of cool thing. All the guys were historical warriors from different cultures.
That were
a samurai and ninja.
Yeah, that were enemies of his cultural people.
Yeah, I thought that was actually kind of cool.
The face yourself is stupid because he just ran up the stairs.
Yeah, he walked upstairs.
No, he ran.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was a pretty steep staircase. Could have slipped.
Yeah. And then face your worst features. All of a sudden, he sees Shang Tsung in front of him. And Shang Tsung turns around and it's his little brother. And he's like, "It can't be you." Well, no shit. You just saw Shang Tsung 2 seconds before that in front of you.
You saw it happen. You saw the change happen.
It can't be you.
The Shang Tsung.
The Chang. Well, his brother was Chang, wasn't he? It was Chang Kang.
Was he?
I think his name was Chan or something like that.
All right.
And I'm not trying to be...
I know.
I think his name was Chan.
No, because I think you're right. And that.
Yeah, because somewhere I remember that being a stupid name. But...
Okay, but again, I ask, what are the rules of this tournament? You can just summon undead people and oh no, you got to fight him now.
Shang Tsung is also a, powerful sorcerer.
Well, he was the champion too, so he has the right to refuse to fight.
Yeah.
However, he agreed to fight Liu Kang and then refused and made him fight a bunch of zombie ninjas, and then he agreed again.
Yeah. Well, before that, he gets up. You see Sonya chained to a wall, and she's like, "I refuse to fight you." Well, no shit. You're chained to a wall. What are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. And I like how it was just Johnny Cage comes over and just pulls her arms out of the cuffs.
Yeah.
She was like, "I could have done this myself."
But also, what are the rules of this tournament? Because does he only have to fight one Earth champion and then they win? Because there's still other Earth champions that are left standing.
Yeah. At what point is the tournament over? Is it when you beat Shang Tsung?
No, because he has the right to not partake.
Yeah, he chose to partake in the fight.
So was Goro the last boss until Shang Tsung was
game.
By the way,
you got to beat Goro to get to Shang Tsung. Yeah, I don't know.
So what are the rules? Nobody knows. Nobody can tell me.
Someone tell me how many times Carl says, "What are the rules in this?"
Actually, if anybody takes a counter of that, we'll give you $5 US.
We'll send you a gift card for $5
to an establishment of my choosing.
So they
could be Chick-fil-A, so it's worthwhile.
Man, that could be worthwhile. I could do with some Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, carry on.
But so he beats Shang Tsung by throwing him over the ledge into a pit of spikes, and it stabs him through the stomach.
And then he says
end.
flawless victory, which he was getting his ass whooped early in that fight. That was not flawless. Fatality? Sure. Flawless victory? No.
But flawless, we've already established flawless means nothing in this movie.
Yeah.
And then, all happiness, and they go back to the Temple of Liu Kang, all three of them, plus Katana.
Temple of Liu Kang. And then Katana is back from Outworld and back and just chilling with these guys.
And they're arm in arm, and all of a sudden the sky darkens, and you see this head pop up in the clouds with the skull mask.
And they just say, this is the Emperor, who, in Mortal Kombat, the video game lore, they already established his name was Shao Kahn. So why couldn't you drop that name? Who's to say? And then
I don't know.
They all look at each other, and they strike a pose.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
and then the theme song kicks in, and oh my god! So how much harder do you have to work to ham fist in a sequel?
Oh, absolutely.
That was just rough.
And what's crazy to me is
why was he in the clouds? Like,
why didn't he show up? They established in the second movie he literally just shows up as a person with a bunch of henchmen and his Fab Four.
Yeah, but it almost felt like. If you remember in the movie Independence Day, where the galaxy is just a marble kind of thing at the end.
Men in Black.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Men in Black. I'm terrible with Men in Black. That's why I got you around, Carl, to keep me in line.
You think every Will Smith movie is the same?
No, that's not true.
You just said it by saying Independence Day and Men in Black are the same movie.
They both start with an I, and that's what I was going with.
Men in Black starts with an M.
I know. I know. These beers hit hard.
Jesus. In what world am I ever the voice of reason?
This podcast world.
I just feel a lot of responsibility or whatever.
But where I was going with that, Men in Black, it just felt like that. Like he just sitting there with a marble in his hand and just looking through the marble because apparently all the realms are just.
That's not even what happens.
I know.
I'm upset right now.
You're a little red in the face.
Yeah. Speechless.
With your Bieber hair, hat on halfway.
Well, I keep adjusting the hat because it's hot in here.
It's a little warm in here.
So the sequel ends up happening somehow, and the only actors they return are Liu Kang and Katana. They're the only two that come back. Again, which of these two movies would you think is the worst? This one or Ghost Rider we reviewed last? Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is the worst movie. This movie is real bad.
We've talked more about this movie than we did Ghost Rider.
That's true.
So, it's a toss-up at this point. They're both just stupid, ham-fisted attempts at anything.
I'm not saying that this is a good movie by saying Ghost Rider is a worse movie. But
which of the two movies would you watch again after doing this?
How long do I have to wait before I can watch?
Tomorrow,
I have to
watch one of them tomorrow. Yeah.
I would probably watch this again before I watch Ghost Rider.
I'm probably with you on that one. At least, like we said, the martial arts is goodness.
There are some redeeming features to this. There is not in Ghost Rider.
Anyways, I think that's enough rambling about this crap.
No, yeah, we got to get going. We went way over on this one. We're trying to keep it to an hour. This is way over.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's on us.
What are we doing next week, Carl?
What are we doing?
Do something different, aren't we?
Discussing Marvel DC characters that are similar.
Yeah, because the whole thing is Marvel DC have always been, against each other. In comic book world, it's just Marvel DC. I mean, there's other properties, obviously, but those are the big two.
Yeah,
it's like Pepsi.
So we'll say one. It feels like they stole something off each other. Whether who stole what from what,
we'll discuss.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, we're gonna. I think next week we'll talk about some characters and their doppelgangers in the other. In the other properties. Right. So that'll be next week. So if you want to get in on the conversation, let us know your thoughts. And
at the Drunken Nerd Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'm at the Carl Evans. If you want to get at me personally on Twitter.
I'm at nothing because I don't do Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. I almost said Twitter sucks. Shipper sucks. All right. Anyway, on that note.
Also, if you got a beer you want us to try,
please
if you
hit
know
us
of a
up.
brewery, let us know. Send us emails, whatever.
Brewery recommendation.
If you own a brewery, if you know someone who owns a brewery, tell them to hit us up too.
The Drunken Nerd.
drunkennerdpodcast@gmail.com.
Facebook, Twitter, all of us. All right. Hey, we will see you guys next week.